Welcome to The Words of a Warrior, a podcast bringing you insightful conversations and stories from some of the most inspiring people. My name is Kendi Wheeler. I'm your host. And on today's episode, I am joined by some of my dearest friends, Galactic Harmony. Welcome, guys. How are you feeling?
Hey, Candy.
Thanks, Candy. Hi.
Howdy. Hi.
Feeling good.
So good.
Thanks for having us.
I am so excited for this episode for so many reasons. But prior to hitting record on this, Tori and I were chatting about how when I first started up this podcast, that was one of our visions, was to have you all on and to share about your music and the magic that you bring into the world. But most importantly, our connection and how that's blossomed over the years that y'all have been playing together. And I'm just super excited to share your story. So thank you so much for being here. Congrats on your new EP.
Thank you. Yes.
So exciting.
The transmission. How are you all feeling now that that's out into the world and released?
Transmission received. I mean, it feels like a huge weight off our chest. It was a huge learning curve to be able just to sit down and learn the recording process and like learn how that side of the music biz works, you know, because I was used to performing at the time, and I think we all were too. And but I feel like in learning how to record that, it has prepared us and to be better musicians overall, and just like led to so many more upgrades. And I feel like the learning curve is over. You know, the hard part is done, and that was the transmission, and now it's out in the world, and all that hard work paid off, and it's really good to see that it's on its own. Our song babies are so grown up.
Yeah.
They grow up so fast. They grow up so fast.
It's true.
What was your favorite part about recording the EP?
Publishing it.
Okay, my favorite part, honestly, was just the fun of just being focused on that task and just all the time in between, like the laughter and the fun jokes, and you coming, Candy, with your BTS, and I'm like, what is BTS? And you're like, behind the scenes.
Yes. I got you on the BTS.
I know, it's awesome. Freaking awesome. Yeah, so that was my favorite part for sure.
Mr. Rexer.
Yeah.
I really loved the creative differences you could have in the studio versus live. Like Jaden mentioned, we've been performing live, and I think that's all we've really done as a group. But in the studio, we get to overdub ourselves or take more things. I know Jaden recorded like a cello quartet on Rain. On Rain, I got to like have a mandolin and guitar like conversation with myself just from composing it. So like that, along with Tori's like harmonies that she got to lay over herself.
So
it's
awesome, yes.
It was cool, and we sometimes even like dreamed of like, okay, what can we do with recording? Almost like, well, let's make it a galactivated version of these songs, because we can't pull all of that off live, or maybe we didn't think of it even earlier.
Yeah. You know, I was listening to the EP on the way here, and specifically Rain, I was noticing your double solo. And I was like, is that Kenny on guitar and mandolin? I mean, who else would be like, that's Kenny on both of those. That was just such a beautiful touch. And I love your creative expression around that. Like that's super unique to have a double solo like that.
Yeah, it was fun. It added a nice element. And one thing that came through for me is, and I think for all of us, is in the recording process, is it also helped inform the writing process. And like, what can our songs become when we take them to the studio and you know, bring our song babies to the world, so to speak. So for me, it was a challenging process. I found myself, you know, in a new territory and in the studio and having to upskill and up level in a lot of different ways that made me a better musician and a better person. And I feel like as a band, we have this new understanding of like what we can do in the studio, how we can make songs, how we can craft these musical journeys for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For your first EP, I just can't believe it, because it's so good. And I can just only imagine it's going to keep getting better from here. And new Galactivations out for the world. I know you guys are working on new music too, and I can't wait to share about that a little bit later on. But I like to start every podcast episode introducing my relationship to the guest and who they are to me. And along with that, I want to kind of have you all go around and share what you contribute to the band too. But I want to start by sharing how we all got introduced, which was through the queen, Tori Christine, which
All hail.
I have to share this story because it's just so good. And the
so good.
biggest takeaway I think from this story is that when the universe wants somebody in your life, it truly does conspire. And I think that's what happened with Tori and I. We actually ended up meeting backstage at a concert, ironically.
Yeah.
And she just had the sweetest smile. She came up to me and just said, "Hi, I like your necklace." And the rest is history, right?
It's true. Yeah. I looked at you and I was like, oh, she looks friendly. Oh my gosh. I felt so awkward back there.
Yeah.
Being backstage at that concert. Like, how did I even get back there, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, this is a friend. Okay, I'm just gonna talk to her. She's so cute. Oh, I love her necklace.
Such a great introduction. But what was most interesting is that Tori shared that she had a coffee shop at the time, and I had been in connection with a woman who hosted networking events at coffee shops. And I told Tori, oh, you should get to know this person and maybe her group can come to your coffee shop. And Tori said that she had already been in communication with her.
Yeah,
and so I
indeed.
just think even if we didn't meet at that concert, we would have met eventually. I
Most
would have ended up
definitely.
going to her coffee shop one way or another. So I just think I have to start by saying when the universe wants somebody in your life, it will happen one way or another.
So true.
But then the COVID happened and the coffee shop closed, and then Tori got real serious about pursuing music. And
Yeah.
I remember the time she told me, Candy, I'm playing in a band. And I'm so stoked about it. And then slowly but surely y'all started coming together, and I would love to hear that story. Like, how did Galactic Harmony form as a band?
I think Rimo's known her the longest. If you want to start.
Yeah, I can chime in. I met Tori in summer 2021. We actually met first at the A Consciousness Rising meeting, planning for that
Exactly,
first
yeah.
solstice event, and then I remember we sat next to each other, and
We
I
did, yeah.
remember feeling curious about you, and then like we ended up chatting that night, and I think there was some connection with Fluid, or I knew Fluid, or you did, and then you ended up inviting me to an open mic, and I went to that open mic, and I remember that night. That's when I met you and Roy, and I was like, it was like homemade kombucha and all this amazing community, and I was sharing my poetry, and you guys bought my book, and we were just like instant friends, and then I think we made plans to jam
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit after that, and then we had weekly jams during that fall time, I remember, and for me and my perspective of society, that was when like people were like gathering again and coming together, and there was this deep desire for connection
Yeah.
and for us for creation and for music, and Tori was just gung ho, like
She was so
0
ready.
to 100, all about the music all the time, every day.
Seriously,
So we had weekly jams on Thursdays, and
Yeah.
we had some other friends that would come about. And then, I mean, Jaden, I think, was one of the of the group. Jaden joined, and then
Yeah.
Kenny joined, and then all of a sudden, like Galactic Harmony was here. But I mean, of course, there's details within there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to talk about how we met?
I remember I met you on top of a rooftop doing yoga, and I saw your pants. They look super comfy and green, and like I
Rimo's
don't know.
pants, if you know, you know.
Yeah, dude. And I'm a sucker for just like comfy pants, you know. And I was like, bro, where'd you get those pants? Like, those are sick. And you're like, oh yeah, they're a local place called High Tide or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we started talking. I was like, you look like a musician. And you're like, oh, I diddle. You know. You just picked up the guitar by then, I think.
Yeah,
And-
I hadn't been playing guitar for like much more than a year at that point or so.
yeah, but I was like, I don't know. I felt something special about you, and I was like, keep going. I think you got what to get. You know, like where to go. You know what to do.
Do you remember that first jam we had?
I do remember.
Yeah.
So you came over to my place and you just hopped on guitar, started doing a thing, and I just fell into this weird cello trance with your diddles, and from then on, I think we
It was
became
emotional.
Yeah, man, it was really visceral.
Yeah, and I also want to share this other part of the story. We have another dear friend, Diam, who was like this
Shout
beautiful
out,
community
Diam.
connector.
We
Shout
love
out Diam,
you.
Cap King.
Diam.
And Diam was like, oh, do you guys know Jaden Chavez? Like, you guys have to meet him. And this was when I was like, oh, I think I met him at some event. And then he's like, I'm going to invite him to our weekly jams. We're like, great, do that. And then all of a sudden, Jaden shows up, and it's like a whole other element of like, wow, we're creating this awesome music. And then it was a few months after that, we're like getting more confident with playing music together. And Tori for months was like, let's go jam at First Friday and busk out on the streets.
Yes.
So the month came, we finally did it in February 22, and we invited some other friends. Olivia was one of them. Shout out Olivia. And she was like, I'm gonna bring my friend Kenny. I was like, okay, cool, great. And then so we're busking on the streets, and then from my perspective, like Olivia show up, and then this other guy shows up he's playing this little mandolin and just playing so amazingly, and we're jamming on the streets, and like people are tipping us, and it was an amazing experience. And so that was the night that I met you, and I was actually reflecting on that a few weeks ago when we were out at Cha Cha's performing, and I was like, I told you, I was like, this is the corner where I met Kenny. Do you recall that night?
Yeah, I remember that night. I remember it was a jam, and I play guitar and mandolin, and I'm like, I have to bring a mandolin to a jam because it's so different from anything else, and it's like has its own frequency that you like stick out in. And I double shout out Olivia Peterson, Olive Pete. Go check out Olive Pete on Spotify. Yes. She's the reason I met everyone in this group because I met her dancing to a local Grateful Dead band, and then we started jamming at a different farmer's market, and Dion was there, and it was cool.
That's right, yeah.
Tori was playing a farmer's market. It was like a solo gig, but she just brought a cajon. She had other things there for just like anyone to jump in. And when we showed up, we were invited to just jam out, and it was a lot of fun. And then we got to go down to busk in a similar fashion. Yeah. So that was kind of my welcoming, was through these just open jams, which is what is really how it started.
I love
it. And to elaborate more, Tori, I want to talk about our conversation around Christmas time in 2021, and you were just so gung-ho on like, I want to be in a band, like let's make music, let's do these amazing things. Determined, absolute determination.
She was ready.
From that first night that we jammed, I was
That's
like,
right.
we're going to be in a band together, it's going to happen.
That's right, yeah. And I was like, wow, who's this crazy awesome woman? Like, okay. And then fast forward spring 2022, and then we're still having these weekly jams, and Kenny's there, and like I swear, like the energy once Kenny joined was like something just clicked into place. And like that night when it was all of us jamming together, I'll talk a bit about how the name came through, which Jaden was actually the first person to coin the name, and it was a true authentic emotional response to what a jam was. I remember we were jamming late one night, and it was like the end of the jam, and it just ended, and it was like there's this air of like silence. And Jaden was just like, oh wow, that was like Galactic Harmony, and we're like, what?
What did you say? Hold on.
Say that again.
I didn't know that story.
Yeah, because I mean, from my perspective, it was like, dude, everyone is not from Arizona. Everyone came from their own places. I'm from New Mexico. You're from Illinois. You're from California, and you're from Pennsylvania. Wow. And it's just like the universe and the galaxy harmonized in such a unique way to create this exact container with this exact moment, with these exact sounds. And I was like, man, this is proper Galactic Harmony.
Wow.
And thus the name stuck.
It was beautiful. And
absolutely.
And it was immediately, like I'm talking immediately, like probably the next day or a few days after that, when Tori's like, I got us a gig at a local spot called Lacuna. And we're like, okay, great.
That's
I don't remember exactly which show, but I think it was one of those shows that was like when we first put ourselves out there, and we're like, we are Galactic Harmony. We are a band. And it was a very new feeling at the time. And that's kind of how it all got rolling. And, we're still rolling.
Still rolling.
Yeah, it felt kind of funny at first, but then it got super comfortable. Like,
those gigs trained us.
They did, truly.
It was a weekly Tuesday gig, and our repertoire was not big enough to hold like the whole night. Maybe we just covered it, and going in each week, it became the spot where we learned like how to be a band, how to like keep a show being entertaining, and I really give a lot of our credit to like those shows at Lacuna, and I appreciate that they let us kind of make that a little residency.
Absolutely,
yeah. That was paramount to us, like figuring out how to play well together and just do the thing.
Training.
Shout out Lacuna.
Yeah.
Shout out Lacuna, but shout out to Lacuna Tuesdays, because that y'all made that what it was. It was you guys doing your thing, but being there so consistently, I noticed, and being there early on, because Tori and I were really close and getting closer every single day, and she would never fail to invite me and be very like, Candy, you gotta come and watch my band. And of course, being the friend that I am and loving her and wanting to support her, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. And I just kept going back because it just felt so good to be immersed in that experience. And to be listening to you all play music, but to be surrounded by this loving community. And last year, which was all of that year, was one of the hardest years of my life. And I've spoke a little bit about that publicly and on the podcast. But let's just say out of all 31 years, 30 was the roughest year of my life. But having every single week to come to the space that felt familiar, that felt just like, and to receive so much love, like you'd walk in and everybody would be so loving. Everybody would, hug each other. And y'all would just put on the best, most entertaining show and get so creative with it. From the songs that you would sing to the little jams in between. Like I would just witness you two going back and forth doing the call and response and just like be so captivated and immersed in it. And gosh, that music was just so healing for me in that time. And I definitely didn't want to skip over that since you guys brought up the Lacuna Tuesdays. It was really impactful for me, more impactful than probably any of you know.
Wow, thank you for sharing that perspective. Seriously.
Yeah.
I feel like as a goal of all of us, we're trying to create medicine music, music that helps people.
Yeah.
And to know that it's affected you too, it's just like, okay, coming from the perspective of the performer, it's hard to see ourselves from the perspective of the audience. And to know that we're doing something right really means something. So it's gratitude.
Yeah.
It's everything.
Truly. Yeah.
How do you guys feel? Do you want to play some music?
Absolutely.
All right. I invited Galactic Harmony to not only share their stories today, but to grace us all with their beautiful tunes. So without further ado, let's share some music.
Sweet.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the tune we're doing, this is Hello Friend off our new EP. So you could go check it out if you're on Spotify after the podcast ends. Go to The Transmission.
Sing each other's song, 'cause nobody knows how long we'll have together. So before we go, let's savor this endeavor, 'cause everybody is worthy of love. This I know, love is worthy of everybody. That's for sure. So come on, let's go explore in ways we haven't before. Let's see the world. It's the day unfurled. You got to see beauty inside me, and I saw into you. Then I wonder
Wow. That was really beautiful and really one of my favorite songs. And I would love to hear the story behind writing that song and how you all come up with the music that you do play.
Yeah, I'll start off the story because, it all started at a gathering called the Winter Solstice.
Yeah.
You were telling me about a person named Vinny. And you're like, oh, man, you
Yes,
got to
I
meet Vinny.
was.
And I was like, I don't know who this person is. And I ended up meeting Vinny without knowing that this was Vinny. And we had a conversation over his piece of art. And immediately I was like talking to this guy. And I was like, you're a good friend. You're going to stick around for a while. I just feel it, you know?
Scorpions.
And for real, man. and so, over that little weekend and that small, time we spent together, I just, it was easy to be their friend. It was so easy to be friends with them. And I didn't want to let that go. And I later learned on that same ordeal that he was going to be deployed in the Army for a very long time. And it made me really step back and appreciate and value every single moment I got to have with this friend.
Wow.
And I wrote this song before they left to deployment. I think it was maybe a month before they were deployed. And I was thinking, man, friendship is so beautiful and important and often overlooked. People often look at relationships, but friends are just, it's special. It's really special. And it really taught me, to value every single moment. And so it's moments like this where it's a very profound truth that is presented to you. That's whenever the idea of a seed song is planted. That little seed sprouts, and if you nurture it, it'll grow into a wonderful tree that gives you fruit. Yeah. But that's my approach to writing music. I just write from life and whatever happens. But I think everyone has a very similar way. But do you guys want to elaborate on your own particular way of writing, if it differs?
Starts from feeling, usually for me, feeling or an experience. Yeah, and it just needs to come out. I have to be able to emote it in some way. And I'll pick up the guitar and a tune will come through and then words just start flowing. That's typically my process. But
Truth. I have a saying where it's a good musician doesn't play music, the music plays the musician.
I love that. I love that you say that.
It's so true because
Wow.
whenever a really good song happens, I don't even feel like I write it. I feel bad to take credit for my own music because I'm like, that didn't come from me. That came from wherever music lives,
The spirit of expression.
Yeah, man.
coming
We're
through.
just the transmuters, and that's why it's called the
Truly.
transmission.
Channels.
We
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
download and translate it for everyone to hear, and wherever that comes from.
From beyond.
Yeah.
Beyond.
And how does it work when one of you has an idea? Do you just bring it to the band and say, hey, I have this idea, and then you all chime in and contribute?
Well, now there's a waiting list because we have so many.
We've had to
That's
develop
a
a
good
process.
problem to
Shout
have.
out to Kenny for supporting the structure of all the ideas that we have and all the little song babies. And Kenny's actually set up a very nice nursery for us where we can nurse them in order, and they have feeding schedules, and we develop them, in according to a structure with flow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Structure with flow.
And I feel like there's two ways a song is formed. It either happens spontaneously during a jam.
Yeah.
Whenever we like whatever we just played, we're like, remember that.
High
you know?
Desert.
Literally,
Yeah.
The High Desert was spawned out of us just getting really into a song,
Yeah.
and just really, really loving
It's
it.
a jam.
Yeah, a proper jam. Other times we find songs individually and bring it and present it to the band. We usually present it in our warm-ups. We warm up, or every time we come to rehearsal, we'll play 4 songs, each picked by one person. And sometimes it's a song share, where it's like, this is something new I wrote. Let's try to figure this out. And that's how we slowly introduce songs to the band one by one. Yeah.
Yeah, we like to. I like to talk about the garden and our song babies and the nursery, whatever it is. But from my perspective, the seed of the song is always planted within someone's heart or mind, and that's where it initially lives, and then eventually, perhaps if it's going to become a band song, then it's transplanted into the Galactic Garden, if you will, and then we nurture that
The
together.
Galactic Garden.
I remember in our really early days, it was. Tori's written, I think, well over 100 songs.
A lot.
Lot
Yeah.
of songs throughout your
A lot of
life for decades, and
Definitely.
Tori has albums on albums in her heart and mind, and a lot of the songs we initially played were Tori's original pieces that we put our pieces on, and I think, I'm not sure which one was one of the first songs that we all wrote together, probably one of those on the retreats or whatnot. But it always starts with someone, and then we bring it to the band, and then flesh it out and nurture it. I know from my perspective, similar. It starts with an emotion, and then my outlet, whether it's through like a diddle or words. Like oftentimes, I find I often reach out to Tori for support or like collaborative writing in that way, just because we connect on that level and like have since like day zero.
Definitely.
So Tori's actually supported me a lot with like putting words to or finding a melody, like Lucid Living, for example. I came up with the chord progression on the guitar, and I was like,
yes.
what happens in here? Like, oftentimes I'll just send a diddle, be like, find a melody, Tori.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, we get back a melody, and then all of a sudden we're all writing lyrics on it, and then we got a song going. So, that's just, one example of how it happens from my perspective.
Everyone has their own little unique contribution. Like I feel like you two are big word people and us two are big music people.
Definitely.
And we all just kind of come together and fill in the gaps that need to be filled. And it's a great teamwork,
Kenny's the Power Ranger. Because really and truly, we can have
Shout
a
out
song.
to Kenny real quick.
Yeah.
He's handling the sound for this entire podcast and many of your shows.
Kenny
right?
handles the sound for everything for
He
Galactic
does,
Harmony.
yes.
We have Galactic Harmony bingo at our shows where if you're playing, you can like scratch off instead of a B, it'll be Tori's like column, and there's a column for each of us and a column for the band. And in my column, it is Kenny adjusts the mixing board while playing the song.
Wow.
It's a skill.
That is
Yeah.
something he does often. No, and I appreciate you so much for handling this today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. It's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. So you mentioned your retreats, and something I love most about you all is just the chemistry that you have as a band. You can tell that you all are really locked in with one another and that you've built these great relationships with each other and that you've learned one another. You've
Most
really learned to
definitely.
relate to each other. And you mentioned your retreats, but talk about the ways that you all have developed the chemistry that you have and the relationships that you do. I know you have the retreats. What is it? Once a quarter?
Pretty much, yeah. It seems like every season.
There's no set schedule, but yeah, sometimes it's. I think we did 3 this year or 3 last year or so. Quarter,
Yeah, I think
trimester,
so.
however you want to divide it up.
Yeah.
One for every season.
And what goes on these retreats?
That's actually top secret.
Secret.
Oh.
We can't tell you. I'm
Word.
sorry.
But songs are written.
That's also top
They're
secret. I'm just kidding.
they're heard.
They're heard.
There's
Word.
There's lots of laughter, and that's what just
Bonding,
I,
I
love so much.
imagine.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
laughter and just being like free. I feel like I'm with my best friends.
For that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. We lock all of ourselves in a room for an extended period of time and just create.
Yep.
And whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and something I also want to talk about is you have 4 different individuals in this band, and that's 4 different stories, backgrounds, but also 4 different human emotions at play.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you navigate that with one another? How do you navigate the challenges that you all have together as a band and also individually too?
Simply put, we communicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
definitely.
most important thing, and we listen.
Yeah.
It's another thing I learned from Kenny, not just on stage playing, but also just talking. We check in and check out every time we're together, whether we're just rehearsing or playing a show. We touch base and we check in with how we're doing. So we know a pulse check of where we're at as an individual, so we can know how we're showing up to the container. Just like we did, before the cameras were rolling, we all checked in here.
Yeah.
And now we know. Like I know how you're feeling, you know how I'm feeling, and it sets us all on the same page. So it's for me, it's that communication that like makes me feel really close to you guys. Of like every time we're like checking in and we know what's going on. So for me, it's all about communication.
And shout out to you for bringing that to the band.
Oh, thank you.
I've never done that before. I mean, I've connected with people, but never in that structure. And it's been such a blessing, really and truly.
Appreciate that. Shout out Men's Work for teaching me the check-ins.
Shout out to Men's Work.
What I love about the check-ins is it creates a space where we can calmly like talk to each other about especially those difficult things. Like
Yeah.
we've been a band for over a year, and anyone who's been a band for over a week will find debacles through that time. It's not like that doesn't happen, but we communicate and we will bring up those tougher conversations and be like, okay, what works for everyone here? How do we want to make sure we're addressing our negatives, which are the things that are tough to bring up? But it just creates a space like that. And that's not what the check-in is for. It's just a space where that happens to happen in a beautiful way that lets us move forward. What I actually like about the structure of the check-in is we check out at the end of a night, and at the end of a night, that's really the time where we just say gratitudes and we say those positives, and it really leaves us all feeling like there wasn't any tension or there wasn't a stone that was left like unturned. We're at peace and we come back ready to go. Like, how you doing? Like, and it's where we're all at the moment, but we don't leave or let things linger.
Yeah. Things are fleshed out for sure. I find myself feeling supported to like speak my mind, or if somebody, or if I feel triggered, or if I'm upset by something, or if I'm having a bad day, I always communicate that if they don't already call it out, because we know each other on that energetic level. For me, it's super supportive to feeling like we have a very safe container that we've cultivated. The retreats are part of that, but just being together a few times a week, it's cultivated this container for me of safety, trust, like utmost creative force, and just pure love and joy and expression.
Yeah, it sounds like you can really be yourself, all of yourself, around each other, and that's really beautiful to be able to come to a space where you're creating together, but you're also allowed to be your whole human self, whether that's good or whether you're struggling. You're able to share about that, and it's received and it's supported, and that's really beautiful. I think that's what keeps relationships growing and building, and I think that's why y'all are still rolling.
Yeah, I have massive gratitude for the support that I constantly see in between all of us, and the support that I feel. It's rare, and it definitely helps to have that support.
Yeah. And with this podcast being called Words of a Warrior, I always like to bring in, the topics of mental and emotional well-being, just because that's something that I personally love and adore, and things that I traverse on a regular basis, just being human, but also being a creative and being an artist. And I would love to hear individually from you all how you navigate your own personal challenges in life, and maybe even how this creative container as a band has supported you throughout that in your journey over the years.
That's a really good question.
I think, like, I'll speak for all of us as artists. It is sustenance to create something and express how we feel and what we're going through. Like, I notice whenever Kenny's like in a kerfunkle, all it takes is just to get on a guitar or mandolin and you're in your happy place, and it kind of goes for all of us, if we're feeling down, we sing it out. And music has been my best medicine, and like coming back to those check-ins, something I've noticed is that during the check-ins, if I'm feeling bad and I voice that to the group and then I play music, during that checkout, I just feel so much lighter.
Yeah.
Music is such a healing thing. And like, I've been on medication. I've done so many things to try to like help ease my mind, because it's very chaotic in here sometimes. And nothing has helped like music. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. It's something that has brought me immense healing, and I think it heals a lot of other people too. And so that's how I navigate my inner toiling,
Yeah. Thank you for that. What about you all?
I feel like I learned two big lessons from the group that do help me navigate my life. And the first one is it's listening. When we're on the stage, we forget about everything else. I actually had like memories of at Lacuna where the world melts away. And I had another musician at one point, it was right before we dropped into a set, and he's like, forget you're human. And it's just the only thing is the things you can create, but you're not alone. You need to listen to and respond to everyone else. And when you're in that space, it's beautiful. Now, in the real world, you have those same things. You have signs that are sometimes screaming at you. And if you do really let go and you listen to them, it's going to take you where you need to go. And that, along with especially Tori, like it's been spoken about her passion of like, we're in a band, we're doing this, and just all in the full commitment to things. This band has helped me change my complete life path, where I had been doing music as a hobby for many years, and basically this coming spring I had a crossroads where I had a different job opportunity, and while that was going down, a music teacher position opened up at the elementary school I work at. And with both like the listening to the fact that, okay, anytime I dive into this, or the fact that I love sound engineering and just all the signs and that commitment to your passions, it really changed my life, where I got to commit to music this past year, and I'm excited that is where the rest of my life is headed, and it's just going to involve learning more, which just gets me stoked. So those are there are at least two things I learned from the group that changed my life the most.
It's really beautiful, Kenny. Thank you.
Thank you all, the Galactic Harmony.
Thank you.
It's been awesome watching you just transform into doing music full time with everything. It's so cool. It is so cool. I would, well, I want to answer your question too. But I just want to say this really quick. Recently, we got to play for Kenny's school, play a show for their festival, their fall festival. And oh my gosh, the way these kids just interact with you, Kenny, and like you're like a rock star. You are a rock star, but like seeing them just like come around you and like wanting to dance with you while you're just rocking out, it was so gratifying to see that. Like you are so in your element, and it's like the stars are all aligned for you. It's so beautiful. I love seeing it.
I can only
So wholesome.
imagine what it's like to have Mr. Rexer as the teacher,
Dude,
the rock star that he is.
You get your brain melted for sure.
Yeah.
And probably listen to a lot of Grateful Dead.
Thanks for saying that, Tori.
Yeah.
I'm glad, and I'm happy the band came to do like a school event. That was wild, and it was a lot of fun. If you ever are like, I'm low on energy, children will give it to you.
Ain't that
oh my gosh, seriously. Yes.
Yeah. What about you two?
So the question that you had was, how has music and the band helped with my mental?
Yeah, just what are
state?
some of the ways you've overcome your own personal challenges? And yeah, part 2 of the question was, or how has this
Yeah.
band contributed to that?
Well, I'm still actively overcoming things, that's for sure.
You and us all.
Most definitely. Well, I will say from the time I was a child, I began playing. Well, I was into music ever since I can remember. My grandpa had an organ. I'll make it short because it could be a very long story. But my grandpa had an organ, and he lived in the house with my mom and my dad and me. And I loved to play it, and he would sit next to me and teach me. And I found out really young that I could play by ear. I could hear.
Wow.
And it was something that brought me a lot of joy. So ever since I was a child and I started playing the flute when I was 11, it was just something that was like with me all the time. Like whenever I was going through anything, I was bullied a lot when I was young, and I would play the flute. And oddly enough, I was bullied because I was in the band at school.
Sure.
And that was the thing that I loved the most. But my love for music won out over my need to be accepted. Like this was something that I knew that was part of me, that it brought me into a state of feeling comfort even within the discomfort around me, any kind of thing going on. I lost my dad at a young age too, and music was always with me. So yeah, it's just, I don't feel alone when I'm playing music. And it's definitely helped me to process emotion. When I sit down and I write, it's something that just allows me to get it out. And I don't know, the funny thing about music is like you can feel it, hear it all at the same time. It's like such an activity that it's a movement of energy, truly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's not getting lost in my thoughts.
That's really beautiful, Tori.
Yeah, and I'll say with the band, it's given direction to it, because it's like playing as a solo artist. It's fun, but it's kind of lonely. Like I felt, I mean, even though in like music, I'm not alone, but like it always felt lonely to me, and I always felt like I needed more people to play with, and finding these guys and just the synergy that we have has been such a blessing, and it's given that direction and that focus and that dedication to where I've felt like that we got something, and we create some pretty awesome stuff together, and yeah. So, anyways, that's
Yeah.
that's my story.
I'll chime in on the emotional, mental side of it. Art is a great transmuter, and I found as an artist, Jaden alluded to it earlier, I have to create and to output for my heart and mind to be clear and to process. And I find that, music's a very powerful tool that we've discovered and tapped into as humans, this rhythm of life that exists. And I find, especially for me, for like writing, poetry, but also music, it just takes the emotions and puts it into something and allows it to move in a way that is no longer in my head or in my heart, and is in now a piece of art that expresses it in some way, and it's cathartic. And that's what art is, and it's necessary for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember getting to open up for Amber Lily thanks to Tori and that connection.
That was fun.
And she just was sharing some words of wisdom at the end, and she said, she was like, never stop creating. She was like, well, you couldn't even if you wanted to. And I just had never felt advice like that hit so deeply, because she's so right. Like there's no choice as creatives, as artists, to express. And I think the one thing that contributes to when people do struggle mentally, emotionally, even physically, is when that expression is not there, when it's like being withheld within the body or the mind or whatever, and doesn't have an outlet. I think that does contribute. At least it has in the past for me. When I found poetry, gosh, like I just felt like I found the thing. I found just like a purpose in life. And I knew
I resonate with that for sure.
Yeah, it was like something, and not only writing it, but also sharing it. Because I think like Jaden, you mentioned this earlier, like channeling it through and letting it being a transmission. You mentioned how music has been healing for you. And I think the reason why it's healing for the people in your audiences is because it's healing for you. And that's felt through the transmission.
I mean, we're all humans. I feel like we have the same kind of healing process.
Yes.
And I feel like I think maybe just the empathy that is felt within the songs are also felt within the listener too, you know?
Yeah.
You know, we've written songs about this exact thing. Like, for example, in my song, Out of Your Mind, there's a line, it's, get out of your head and think out your heart. Feel your thoughts and turn them into art, you know? And that's the source, man. That's where the good music comes from, but it's also where the deep healing comes from.
Yeah.
And I'm just rephrasing, you know, I'm just repeating myself, but that's again why we're artists, you know, we are transmuters of pain and discomfort, and to turn them into something tangible and useful.
Yeah.
All the content of life.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, and you know, something that came through actually a conversation with Liz a few weeks ago was that like everybody has art in their corner.
Yes.
Everybody,
Truly.
I believe everyone, I believe creativity is a natural human quality that everybody has the capability to tap into on various levels. So therefore, I believe that art exists in the corner of everyone's little toolkit that we can utilize, whether it be writing or movement or dancing or music or
painting,
painting,
drawing,
whatever it may be,
doodling.
Yeah. And I think it's a powerful tool that humans have to move energy.
Sure, yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, that'd be nice to have a creative process as a healing tool, you have it. You have it at your fingertips, or your voice, or whatever. way you choose to express. And I think that's one thing that's been, top thing that's been impactful for me in these last few years, especially. And yeah, I see it within you guys too. So along the note of that, on your EP, you have one of my favorite songs called Moving On.
Oh,
Moving on.
And there's many reasons why this is one of my, I swear, like every show, I'm like, please play that song. Like that is my anthem.
You do ask for it every show.
Every show. I'm like, that's the anthem. And I remember telling Tori, I can't wait until I can play this in my car. Like, and turn it all the way up with the windows down, like
dang. Yes.
singing this at the top of my lungs, the sunroof open and everything, just like, yes. It's got that energy to it. And I would love for y'all to play that if you want. And you have a music video, right? It's coming out for this
Indeed.
song soon.
It's out.
Soon.
No, it's
oh, it's
out.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The video's
duh.
out.
We had the,
Yeah.
sorry. We had the, we had the release party at Meraki, which was amazing, by
That
the
was
way.
fun. That was a fun night.
Tell me about the music video before you guys go into playing it, because I want to hear about this. How it was White Sands, right?
Yeah, so Jaden's from New Mexico, and he has described how beautiful this place is. We actually went there before during a road trip where we went out to Ohio. So we're familiar with the White Sands, and we're just like, we're going to film a music video there. And it was on one of our retreats in New Mexico. And really, before we left on that retreat, we did not have a plan for that music video.
Exactly.
But
No,
we
didn't.
we stopped at a gas station, and I swear, in the time it took from an empty tank to a full tank, we were just brainstorming ideas, and we're like, all right, we're all going to be out there, but it'll be shots of individuals and then shots of the group, and we're like all around the desert, and then we all meet up at, I won't give away the end, you'll have to watch it. But
No spoilers.
we just came up with the idea right on the spot, and I'll let someone else maybe talk about day of or post, but it was one of those, like, here's the plan, all at a gas station.
I remember that. Jaden was sitting on top of his car like you like to do.
As I
and
do.
I was straight up a quick brainstorm. And yeah, we went out there. I think it was the following day. We only had a weekend out there. So we're like, this is the day. And we went out there in the afternoon. And we only had a few hours until sunset. And we knew the shots we wanted to get. And like we just went out there and just did it. We had I think it was your dad and like maybe one other person, or maybe just your dad out there to
You and my
support
dad,
us.
yeah.
Yeah. So
No, it was like your whole family.
My family was there to witness.
they
Yeah.
came
Yeah,
later to support.
and they did
Yeah,
come
they were like,
support.
oh,
Yeah.
Emotionally.
That was awesome.
like moving the camera,
Yeah.
like getting the shots and setting the frames. Like
Yes.
Kenny and I were like running around and like checking angles because for the viewers that will watch the video or have watched the video, you know it's on a time scale of the sunset, and it starts in the afternoon, it ends at a beautiful sunset. And to get the shots in that frame with the sequence of the song
Wow.
took very coordinated planning and precise execution
did.
to get the shots.
Yeah.
So it was a beautiful scramble that was in retrospect, in the moment it felt chaotic. But afterwards I was like, we executed perfectly. Perfectly. And the timing of everything, and I'm very proud of the music video.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing, and the process of making it all happened in like 3 hours. It was
Wow.
just done.
It sure did.
The man that was just speaking, his name is Ryan Moores, and
Shout out
he
to
did
Rymo.
he did so much work editing the video, because we have all these
yes.
random shots, and he put it together in a story. He put it together timed to the music in a beautiful way that your eye cannot look away. So I
Thanks,
just want to
Kenny.
thank you for making it so beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
I became a professional video editor through this process.
Seriously.
They were in proper like
Literally.
director mode. Yeah.
Got to get it done, you know. We got projects.
The coolest thing though was when we were driving back from the I think it was from the retreat, and you like we were in the car together.
Yeah.
You got your scarf over your head, you had your laptop in your lap, and you were already starting to edit.
Capricorn mode.
Awesome.
I did
Like your
finish
office.
editing 90% of the video on the drive back before we even crossed the state line into Arizona. And
See,
Yes, you
that's productivity
And then
right there.
you want to know the like long
Yes.
long tease for me was pretty much a year until the video came out.
I remember
Because we were still mixing and
that.
mastering the song that we recorded it to, and it was a
Yeah.
journey for us. And so when it finally came out, it felt like eons ago. But yeah, I honestly sat on that video for like almost a year, and just like waiting, itching
That's
to get it
hard,
out
yeah.
to the people.
So
And
patient.
I feel very proud of it. I feel
You
I
should.
feel like a wave of relief. I feel proud of us for the way we came together and did it. And our first official video, I think it's great. It is great. I
Yeah.
love it. And you know,
Yeah.
whatever. I can go.
You
on
know,
and on.
you
Yeah.
just you ought to be proud of it because it is so good. And for everybody that's listening to this, when you watch it, you'll know why he's so happy and proud of it, because it is. And the fact that you did it yourself, and I think something to be said about everyone in this group right now is that y'all are just multi-talented. Like, you don't just play one instrument, y'all are all multi-instrumentalists. But you have so many different talents outside of that too, like the creative direction, the visuals. Jaden's on TikTok making wind videos. And you know, it's so beautiful to see like all of your creative geniuses come together to fulfill on all of these beautiful projects. And yeah,
I think
I'm
that's part of the
excited.
beauty of Galactic Harmony as a band and as an essence, is that we all bring those unique pieces, as Jaden was talking about earlier, and we all have very different backgrounds and different skill sets
Yeah.
that really come together in a way
Truly.
that we got all the pieces together. I feel like our toolkit is full.
Yes.
And you know, one definition of harmony is the unification of opposites, that which is coming together, and that's in essence I like to meditate on often. And I feel like all of us, we are very different individuals and also very similar in different ways. And when we come together, it is that harmony that creates where like we have all the different skills and knowledge and experience and emotional toolkit to come together as Galactic Harmony.
Should you guys play Moving On?
I mean, I'm not opposed.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
See why this is one of my favorites.
This one's for you, Candy.
Thanks. as Jaden Chavez says pretty frequently, that song scratches an itch for me.
Amazing.
It really does it. I feel it, and being a part of the community that you all have created centered around the music and your shows, that song is always the song that everyone gets up and dances to and goes crazy over. And yeah, it's one of my favorite songs.
Thank you. Us too.
It scratches the itch in my little brain folds as well, you know. It gets down in there. It's such a visceral song. I like songs that do that and dig deep. You know, this one gets scratchy, you know. It's good. Proper massage, proper brain massage.
Yes. And I gotta say, Jaden, I truly love it when you bust out the cello, and y'all, it's just so unique, you know, to bring that instrument to the band, a band like this one. And y'all just are so unique individually. You bring so much to the table, to the band, and I would love to talk about that a little bit. What instruments do you play? What do you bring uniquely to make Galactic Harmony what it is?
I remember whenever I first showed up and I was like, I have a cello, and I just brought it, you know, and I was like, flute and cello vibes, I think that would be pretty cool, you know, and I brought it, and during that jam, everyone was like, yes, yes, it just hit different. And man, cello it was the second instrument I learned. I first learned piano, and then I went to move into the city to join an orchestra in middle school, and I was going to play violin or viola, and then the teacher played the cello. Oh, it just hit different, you know? And from there, I learned, cello taught me how music is expressed. Piano taught me how music works. And using those tools, I was pretty much able to just kind of pick up any instrument that was given to me. You know, if it had strings or if it was using my hands, I'm probably able to pick it up and like play a tune in maybe 10 minutes, you know, I'll figure it out.
Yes.
I just kind of use that philosophy I'm always exploring new sounds. I get bored of one instrument, you know?
Yeah.
And now I'm playing up to like 10. And it's hard to keep track, but there's 4 main ones that I like to play often. And I play that for the band, which is cello, guitar, banjo, didgeridoo, and I also sing. And that's like my creative contribution in this sonic landscape that is Galactic Harmony. We're so diverse, and I think I tried to like find the sound that fits in all these diverse realms, you know. We go through so many genres, and I kind of just try to make each instrument fit that place. And I feel like I also listen to a lot of really weird music. I don't listen to popular things, you know. I listen to really underground experimental stuff.
Yeah.
And because I'm like, all this stuff, I'm like, it's too cliche. I want to hear something that's new.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm constantly trying to pioneer something that hasn't been played before. And to do that, I have to explore many different sounds. Sure. And I think that shines in where I stand in the band. You know, I try to bring something different and unique to what we make, you know.
Yeah.
You do.
Cool. I'm glad I'm doing a good job.
Let's also mention the sounds that you make with your voice, like the bird chirping and the.
Can you do a didge right now?
A didge
Yeah.
with my
Do a
voice?
didge with your voice, yeah.
All
Something
right,
like that.
Trumpet.
Crickets.
Crickets.
Jaden is an instrument.
Yes.
Yes.
I am my own sample pack. Can I share like where I learned these sounds from?
Yes.
So in the thick of the pandemic, I began to make noises just randomly out of my control. And I was like, okay, I thought I was just like a very like fidgety person, always just kind of messing around, beatboxing all the time and just like, you know, tapping on tables and doing things. And then I started saying words and I was like, okay, something's up. And I did some research and I went to the doctor and they're like, yeah, you have Tourette's. I was like, whoa. And I was diagnosed at 17 years old. I think the isolation from the pandemic triggered something. And that part of me just needed to be expressed. And it just needed to yell and shine out. Yeah. And a lot of the sounds that it likes to do are things that it hears. So the Tourette's, the specific kind that I have is called echolalia, where it likes to listen and repeat back what it hears.
Yeah.
And I like to be out in nature and listen to birds and, you know, just because I think they're one of the best musicians in nature, that and crickets. And my ticks subconsciously pick up the bird sounds and will mimic them without me knowing how to even do it, which is crazy. And I literally have to sit down and listen to the tick and observe it in order to learn how it makes that sound. And Tourette's has taught me a lot of just weird noises that otherwise, like, I wouldn't even think to try. Like, that's like a raven, you know? And it's just weird stuff like that. But I don't know. That's the background of how I've learned how to do all that.
So great.
I remember when we were in Chicago and we were in the most acoustic bathroom lobby, and Jaden was doing the dig sounds, and the acoustics were just amazing. And then you did some bird sounds in there too. It was just
It was magical in that reverby room.
yeah, it was super reverby.
Incredible.
Raimo, what do you bring to this band uniquely? I got to shout out Raimo. He's a poet too, fellow poet, and shout out poetry because that's, it's a love.
Yeah, shout out poetry, a necessary art form for me.
Yeah.
I bring poems and songwriting. I've grown into being a songwriter. Tori, since the first week we hung out, like she would call me a songwriter. She was like, "You're a songwriter, man. I know you got songs in there. Like you got all these poems." And just in the way that you do, just the gung ho, like all about it energy. And I had never written a song in my life. Written hundreds or thousands of poems, and songs were new to me. And then through this container, actually, I began to embrace. I was like, oh, like what is this but another art form, another form of writing with the melody, perhaps. And quick little personal story, I ended up getting a meaningful tattoo of a spider on my arm with the intention of creativity and weaving those creative webs of life and what the spider means to me. And on my left arm, because I'm left-handed, and that same week I got the tattoo is when we went out to Pyro. And that's when I wrote my first song, Eden. And from then, I just felt like I was able to write songs. And then we would collab together, and Tori and I started writing just, songs together. So yeah, then obviously I play cajon, I play djembe, I sing and play guitar, and the shakers and rattles and all the other little trinket sounds. I also play the spoons on a fun song, which it's a fun song.
Yeah.
And then beyond the music, I feel I bring a lot of like business perspective and organization around the back end of the band, like what happens behind the scenes, everything from website to Google Drive and organization. My background is in I've been working with startups, and I have a lot of business experience, and that's just how I am. And what I bring to organizations is organization, and so that's a part of what I bring that's not necessarily like seen on stage, and it's like the back end processes that are necessary.
Oh, so important. Seriously.
Yeah. And then, I do my best to bring creative spirit and good vibes, but also just reality and like authenticity and my raw self as I am. And it, that feels good.
Yeah. I got to say this. Tori does have a way of bringing the songwriter out and people together. We've written 2 songs so far.
That are bangers.
And they are bangers.
Yeah.
And same thing, being a poet. I remember the first time Jaden telling me, you can be a songwriter. And I was like, no. He's like, yeah.
Right.
And Tori, you do have that unique ability to just draw that out in people. And I think it's because you see it, and you know what it's like being a songwriter. And I think you're able to spot that in others. And the other thing I want to say too about Raimo is that he's a great teacher. And one of the reasons why I play guitar too. Tori taught me the basics of guitar a while ago. And I remember Raimo telling me, if you're serious about learning, play every day. And we started jamming together, and that's the only reason why I'm able to play, especially finger plucking specifically, which is something you are unique with as well.
I love fingerstyle guitar and plucking. Yeah.
So I have to shout you out for that, because I really wouldn't be where I'm at without your support and without your help. And just what I've been able to create, and that now I'm coming up with my own little diddle.
Yeah, you are.
I appreciate that reflection, and I could share the same for you with poetry. You've inspired me in my creative writing as well, and to bring it back to like the relationship in the band. I spoke about Tori like invoking this like songwriter within me, and these guys on my left and right have made me such a better musician and continue to do so, and I believe will do so for the rest of my days. I mean, Kenny is literally a music teacher and has taught me so many things about I can't even name the list of things. Everything about music I've learned from like this group really in the last few years, and just from playing on time to really listening deeply and to funky tunings and all these alternate tunings that we have a love-hate relationship with. I love them. Kenny hates them.
I'll explain why when I talk about my contributions.
But I share that to say, like, I feel like I've been like molded by this group as well. So like the contributions I bring, like some of them are authentically through me, and some of them are cultivated through me, through the band's influence on me from Tori and Kenny and Jaden and like what they brought in my life. So I feel humbled and extremely grateful to be with these people.
Yeah. One thing Jaden had always said, or I'm not sure who said this first, but we always bring it up, and it's the positive feedback loop. It's just when you get in a connection with somebody that is just bringing out the best in you and seeing the best in you always, it just is a constant thing. It's just, you're always bringing out that.
Yeah, like it lifts each other up, you know. I give you something, you give me something, and we lift each other higher, you know. And it's not like an exchange, you know. It's just sharing.
Yes.
And it's more energetic than anything, you know. And that's the true positive feedback loop. And that comes from, like, I discovered that whenever we're playing shows, the audience is dancing, that is giving us energy to keep, like, and you feel that in the music, which makes them dance harder, which we feel even more. And it's, you know, that cycle goes on. And man, that's truly how you lift each other up and like make people ascend.
Yeah.
You know? So all about them positive feedback loops, man.
Heck yeah. Oh, what about Mr. Rexer? Besides the shredding? No, that's it.
Yeah, well, for instruments, I play guitar and mandolin, a little djembe, and I sing for the group. For guitar, I did want to mention we went through a big change actually after our EP, or sort of during the time we were recording our EP. When we started the group, we were just like this little folk band, and I played like mandolin and acoustic guitar with the group. And on one of the retreats, I brought like my electric guitar, which that's kind of been my main passion for years. But I didn't think, I was like, I don't know if it'll go with like this style of group as opposed to an acoustic, which I love, like bluegrass music and a lot of like flat pick and stuff. But we went through a big change where I started playing electric guitar with the other acoustic guitars and the cajon, and that was really interesting as a time for us, because I felt like it opened up a different dimension of music that we could hit. So that's what I do instrument wise. I'd say as Rymo does so much of our back end, you wouldn't believe it. Anything you see online there's a high probability it's Rymo. I'd say I do like a lot of like the front end business. So like at shows, I am like the sound engineer. I do a lot of like dealing with venues and venue owners and things like that. Which I do. I love participating in that because it puts me in like a state of mind. Like my dad was an actual like not an actual engineer, but a computer engineer. And so I feel like kind of tinkering with things and knowing the routes of cables and trying to make things look as like efficient as possible is something I love. And so that's at shows. And I'd say for a lot of the creative process, I'm blessed to be with these members, because if you find yourself with a group of people where they have too many songs to bring to the table, that we have to be as a band like, hey, like let's focus on like these 3 and then like let's get to the other 75. It's unbelievable being in a group of people, especially like we've talked about songs being seeds. I would say I'm not someone that creates a lot of these seeds, but I am someone that can grow them into a fully front to back song. And I think that's one of the one of my skill points. I know Tori called me a power arranger.
You are the power arranger, yes.
And
Power arranger.
I think that describes it in as concise as possible, and that's definitely from my background, like my family, and like I went to college and studied math. Like I love like symmetry and knowing how long everything is going for, and I also love like jam bands and the Grateful Dead. So like finding the perfect medium of, hey, we could get into a space that we're all going to be connected and we know when to get out of it, but who knows how long we're going to be in it. And finding moments like that in tunes is something I really love. And these guys over here, they just mentioned that I don't like alternate tunings. And, the final thing that I really do for the group is I write the set list for each shows. But you just heard how many instruments Jaden plays. And like Raimo and Tori and myself, we're all multi-instrumentalists.
Yeah.
To keep a Galactic Harmony show on the tracks, we don't want to change our instruments every song. Like I'll try to get Jaden on a cello for a few in a row, or Tori on flute for a few in a row, as opposed to like guitar, flute, like back and forth. Yeah. So writing that is a little bit of a maze. And then these guys decide we're going to put our guitars in a different tuning for like every song as well.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not.
They sound beautiful. It's what needs to happen. But when it's like, when they find like two songs in the same tuning, my heart is so happy. So yeah, just you guys know what to do. Just keep diddling. Keep doing what you do.
Shout out to Digga
We know what to do.
Yeah.
Digga boo.
Also,
yeah, you should hear their tunings.
Oh yeah, you mean Digga Bud?
Digga Bud?
Yeah, one of my favorites though is Ibegbe, which you know how to play Ibegbe, which of course is open E.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Anyways, I also want to shout out Kenny. Kenny's also one of our head chefs. We all cook in various fashions, but Kenny is specifically the head salmon chef. And
Oh my God,
almost
I've
every
had
major
his salmon,
gathering, have you
yeah.
had Kenny's salmon? Yeah, we had some last weekend. Phenomenal, unreal. And yeah, Kenny's a great chef. Salmon's kind of a cultural thing in Galactic Harmony at our retreats and at festivals, and Kenny's just always one to whip it up, whether it's over the stove on a sizzling skillet or on a barbecue. You know,
and I wasn't even that hungry, but when he was cooking up the salmon, I was like, I have to have some of that, and I was so grateful I did. I was like, oh my goodness, Kenny, what did you do? Like this is special salmon, guys.
I give all the credit to the fish.
Shout
They're
out
the
to
ones
fish.
swimming
shout out to the
upriver.
fish.
Thank
Shout
you
out to the
for
salmon.
nourishing us. I gotta say this though, when Tori first started playing with y'all, I remember seeing her and Kenny jamming on First Friday one time, and I had never seen anyone shred the acoustic guitar in that way. So I'm so glad you brought the electric into the experience, because I think it's expanded your sound, but also like you're such a natural at shredding and at the solos that you do, and it's just right.
People
need it.
Yeah.
I feel like as it's necessary for you and I to write poems, I don't want to overassume, but I feel like it's necessary for you to shred the guitar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That it needs to happen every day, and if it doesn't, I'm not going to sleep.
Yes, we love it. Tori, what do you bring to Galactic Harmony?
Pretty face.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Nice smile,
We
kind
talked
spirit.
about, I have to say this.
Yes.
Raimo said, okay, I'm going to say this. I started calling myself a galactic groupie. He's like, I don't know if you want to use that word, Candy, because, groupie is typically known as somebody who, like follows around a band and wants to sleep with the lead singer. And I was like, yeah, no, that's me.
Oh my gosh.
So to note, yes, you're pretty face. Mhm.
Well, we have slept in beds together. So
We have slept
technically
together.
that has been fulfilled. Yes.
Snuggle puddle.
That's been done. Pillow talk too.
Sleepovers.
Pillow talk as well.
Absolutely. Okay, so what I bring to the band, changing subjects. Well, I play the flute. I have played the flute since I was 11, and I want to rewind a little bit. I never really played with other people until the first jam night at Ryan's house.
Wow.
And I mean, I had kind of played a little bit, like my cousin tried to get me to play with his band when I was in high school, and I had a friend that I would kind of jam a little bit with, but I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was very timid for like the longest time. But the first jam night, I was like, I'm just gonna bring my flute, why not? And I did, and I was like, I'm just gonna let loose and just play whatever's on my mind and heart. And I did, and it was the most comfortable feeling, and I just felt like I could express myself, and it felt like I was home, really and truly. And it just like I'd never turned back from there. That was like I never turned around, like just straight ahead. I'm gonna play my flute.
Heck
And
yeah.
so that is definitely one thing I bring to the band, is wanting to just express through the flute, which isn't the most common instrument, especially in a band. I see it getting more common out there, and I love it. I love seeing the classical instruments come out more and be heard. Yeah, there's just a certain feeling to those kinds of instruments, and
We call her the flute fairy.
I feel like a fairy sometimes,
Yeah.
especially if I'm in the forest playing the flute.
You are a fairy.
Truth.
So I bring the flute. Rhythm guitar is something that I absolutely love. I love to strum the guitar. I love to strum it really heavy and hard too, and just allow the guitar to play through me in the rhythms. Like, it's funny because like I'll do like diddling and finger picking, and there's been times when I've sat with Ryan and he's giving me like numbers on how to finger pick, and I'm like, dude,
It's called tabs.
I don't know what this is.
He
but
tried to do the same thing to me. I was like, nah, just tell me where to put my hand.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Anyway.
So I don't play by any structure. I just play with what comes through me, and it seems to be working, especially in this container for sure. One thing I wanna say about Kenny being the power arranger, when he and I were jamming in the very beginning stages, we were doing some farmers markets together. I think, Ryan, you were out of town for a little while, and Jaden, you weren't. I don't know if we were getting together and playing at that point, but I had some songs. Moving On was one of them, and I think Carnival of Love might have been one too, that I wanted to play at the farmers markets, but they weren't complete. And one night, Kenny comes to my house, and he helps me finish the songs within the evening, and they were complete. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm not letting this guy go. We are playing music together. This is happening, and it's going to happen forever because this is amazing. So yeah, that was just a really incredible experience, and just watching how the songs come together, how we make songs is such a powerful experience for sure.
Yeah.
The way I see it, you're doing the hard part, Tori.
Really? You think so? I don't think so.
You're just like a songwriting machine. Like I just feel like you're always voice messaging me like, Candy, I just woke up
Most definitely.
and I've got a song coming through. And it's just like
true,
all
yeah.
the
Two
time.
verses and a chorus in 30 minutes.
She makes it look
It's like
so easy.
It's all the time. And when we sit down to write together, you're just so excited about it. And I think that's also something that you bring to the band too, is just like the excitement around creating.
It is so much fun, though. It
Yeah.
really is. To make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tori also brings like this spirit of magic to the band,
Yeah.
I feel, and like just lightheartedness, but also just like a depth of emotion. And I feel like you do like we all bring our own magic, but like you really remind us, and like even from like little things like setting new moon intentions together as a group, or like, you know, reminding us to look at the pretty things in nature. Like you're just always connected to that element of life that I really value, and I feel like you bring a lot to the band on that energetic level.
Thank you. Thank you for saying
Yeah.
that.
I
I
appreciate
appreciate it.
I mean, there's
I
like
really do.
voice memos that are sent and just laying down hard, profound truths of whatever you discovered that day, and I'm here for it. You know.
Oh, I'm so happy, and I'm
The
so happy you
channels.
respond to the voice memos, because sometimes I'm like,
5-minute voice memos.
I have these epiphanies sometimes, and I'm like, these are the people I have to share these things with, and I send these memos, and then I'm like, oh God, should I have sent that? and like some of them I'm like crying in them, and like, and I'm just like, oh
It's
my
real.
gosh,
I know.
It's so real. But
know
that's
about
what's
the
so
memos.
good
full
about it.
send. I just have to do it. Yeah.
I think that's what makes you so unique, though, is that you're always like channeling some beautiful, profound wisdom and encouragement ultimately in your words. And it's, I mean, on it, the receiving end, it's so beautiful. And I imagine you with these guys just like always sharing the truth and
Most definitely.
being the motivational speaker in the band. Like, guys, we got this. And
That's absolutely Tori.
yes.
Definitely.
Big Jupiter energy
Yeah.
for sure.
Most definitely. Yes.
Yeah.
Aim for the stars and then go beyond that.
Yeah,
For sure.
Tori's a dreamer in the best way.
Yeah.
Most definitely dreamer. Yeah. Sometimes I gotta wake up.
That's why I keep my feet on the ground for us, Tori.
I appreciate that so much. Yeah, you are the only earth energy here, aren't you? I mean, we all have placements, but we've got fire.
I don't know. Kenny kind of like gives off Virgo energy.
He doesn't have
I
any
know he's
Virgo
a
in his
Leo, but like, I don't know. It just feels like he's very structured.
He is very structured, that's for sure.
I mean,
It's the
Leos can be
masculine presence.
structured. Anyone can be anything, but
True.
I want to look at his birth chart
Yeah.
one day.
It's worth it.
It's pretty much on fire.
Oh yeah.
It is.
great.
You might burn yourself just
It makes
looking
sense
at it. Your
though, the
eyes
shredding, yeah.
have to look away.
So I want to hear, was there a particular show that y'all had that really stood out to you over the time that you have been performing together? Just one particular show that was like, oof, I'll never forget that. I know that's
show.
probably hard with
Oh
you
my
all.
gosh.
I'll go first because one's in my mind.
Yes.
If others don't say it first, which is the show we played in the Amuse-Toi tent at Salamander Fest
Yes.
with the Salamander Collective in Southern Colorado just this past summer. Short story, we were scheduled to play on the main stage on Friday night at sunset time. It was beautiful, and a storm rolled in and torrential downpour. We're talking the stage is covered in tarps, and it's chaos.
It was
And it quickly became we're going to play later, to, we might not play at all, to, oh my gosh, all the gear might get ruined, we have to move things. And then Tori, I believe, had the bright idea to go ask, there was this giant art tent called Amuse-Toi, shout out Amuse-Toi. And we asked them if we can have a little intimate show inside there to be protected from the rain. So we ended up playing an acoustic set in a small tent, but it was, it's like a circus tent, smallish medium tent.
Yeah.
And about 30 or 40 or 50 people sat inside, and there was like people outside just the tent. And it was a very intimate experience that was really, for me, it was like beautiful. And it just like went by in a
Really,
flash.
truly.
And it was such a connecting experience where we're like, people are laying on the ground directly in front of us. We're making eye contact. We're communicating. And it was a very intimate experience that for me was like tragedy turned into triumph. And for me, one of my favorite shows of the summer.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was incredible. Yeah, it was a dome too, wasn't it? Because it was like
Yeah, it was
think
like
it
it was a big tent.
It was a really big
There was
tent.
art all around. It was
I know.
beautiful
Sweet.
and cozy
So
in there and cold outside, and it was just so nice. Yeah.
Comfy.
yeah.
That's my favorite.
Anybody else have any
There was one that we,
particular highlight?
yeah, there was one that we did recently on Grand Avenue. I forgot what the fest was called. What, Grand Ave
Grand
Fest?
Ave.
Grand Avenue.
Grand Ave Fest. How
Grand
nice.
Ave
How
Fest.
fitting. Yeah, but
Shout out to Phoenix Art.
Yeah,
Truly.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't really explored this part of town until then. Like I've been to like a few shops here and there, but not like truly walk the street. And to sit there and see, I love playing around different places of town because you get to see different people.
Yeah.
You know, the energy in Grand Ave was just really different, and I could tell that these people were really appreciative of just art in general. And like during our sound check, we had people just lined up just to watch the sound check happen, you know? And the amount of love and like we were truly received and held by just people walking down the road, you know? And it was beautiful to be able to play a song and get someone's attention to stop in their tracks and listen. And not only that, but like dance, groove, and have an epiphany and possibly cry. I was hearing that, you know, some people shed some tears. And it's profound just to like accidentally just drop these huge emotional waves through these people. And I truly felt that. And there was a guy, shout out to Bo, he was just like a hype man during our dog song. And he was like panting and like, you know, barking and being a dog. And he got the energy riled up and the whole crowd received it. Again, those positive feedback loops, you know? And it's just like, it in a moment where I was feeling kind of burnt out on music, it revived that love of performing again. And it really like made me embody. It's like, oh, this is why I play music. You know, like this is the energy that I'm here for, and people are here for it as well. And that just feels so good to give and receive in both directions, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. So I want to have y'all close out with a song, but I do want to just highlight just how people can support a local growing band. What are some of the ways you love to receive support?
Seeing people come to our shows.
True.
Most definitely. That's a big way for sure. Just that support and seeing the familiar faces, and it's very encouraging.
I'd love to add on to that, where absolutely, like, come to a show, but come with the open mind that everyone that's coming has an open mind. Like, I think a lot of our discussions today is how vulnerable we can be with each other.
Yeah.
And that also occurs with a lot of the friends and the family that come to our events again and again. So just know, if you do come to a show, thank you so much, and you're in a safe place. So I'll probably see you on the dance floor as well, and just like let loose however you'd like. That's what's really going to give us that positive feedback loop, and it's going to come right back at you.
Yeah. Free hugs from Kenny is a thing.
Free hugs from Kenny at every show. Yeah, and as well, like, listen to our music. Check it out on a streaming platform. Check out the music video as well. And if you love it, share it with your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The EP, download it. The transmission. Download it. Listen to the songs. We'll drop the link below, obviously. And yeah, I mean, I know you guys have merch too. That's another beautiful way to support. And following you all on social media, which, do you want to drop your handle for everyone listening?
Galactic Harmony.
Easy.
Easy mode.
Easy. Well, with that noted, we'll go ahead and close out with a song. I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming on, for sharing stories, for playing the music that you do, and sharing these beautiful healing messages with the world. It's truly appreciated, and I look forward to continuing to attend these beautiful shows and listening to future music that comes out. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to mention before we officially close. Any exciting songs, singles to look forward to?
Maybe.
So I'd love to answer that question along with the last one, which is about our favorite show.
Yeah.
So, one of my favorite shows, it was actually pretty early on. We had been playing this tiny little kava bar, Lacuna, weekly, and we kept thinking, like, how are we gonna, like, people like Candy Wheeler come every week, how do we keep someone entertained weekly? But it's not like we're gonna learn like a bunch of new songs every week. And we started coming up with themed nights. And we did like a Western themed night. And the space night is the night that was one of my favorites of all time, because we're doing space, and it's like, you know what? We did Breathe and Time by Pink Floyd. And this also kind of like cued in the like start of playing electric guitar with the group. We also did like Ground Control to Major Tom.
Yes,
like, it was so much fun, and we would all dress up, and people would come to these shows dressed up.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah, on a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
The reason I bring this up here at the end is because we're about to do a song that we played for the first time that night.
That's right.
And this song is drastically different from the others because of some of those changes, and it's kind of breaking through to a new dimension. But we're super excited because we actually had the opportunity to record this song over the summer, and we just got back our mastered tape. So as we're doing this talk here, we're also cutting it up and sending it out. So hopefully around the time that this podcast is out, we'll have Selfless streaming. So we do hope you enjoy it. And I'll leave it to the band for anything else you want to tag on here before we break into that beautiful tune.
Can you give a quick shout out to the folks that have helped us make these songs so far?
Yeah, so there was a gentleman who helped us record Selfless. His name is Miles Gilmore, and he worked at Crass, which is a recording school here in the greater Phoenix area. I think it's in Tempe, Chandler area. And if you're also looking on our Spotify, we owe 2 infinite thank yous. And the first one goes out to Timothy Bradshaw. He made our EP possible because he opened up his house for months, where he allowed us to come in, lay down a foundation track and lay down individual tracks. And not once was he impatient or being like telling us what to do. He honestly was like, I want to make sure you guys get what you want. And then from there, after Tim got us those the recordings, we had the opportunity to have it mixed by Jay LeBen, and he just gave us the same generosity of he's not gonna take any shortcut. He really took every consideration we wanted, would let us listen to it, and we'd come back and be like, hey, can we change this? And he made it possible. And both those guys really made a home recording from an independent band sound so good. And that's one of my favorite things about releasing the EP is it's something that's out there. It's our art, and I'm proud to be like, we did that. And really, those guys helped us out.
Yeah, major gratitude.
We were so supported, and it's beautiful to be able to be so loved and like, we're lifted up. Again, those positive feedback loops. We let it leave an impact on someone, and they're willing to help us out and lift us up as well, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's similar in our checkout fashion. To touch on gratitude, like we are so supported. Literally you and like Liz and Roy and other people that come to our shows that literally feed us before our shows or after our shows or give us pep talks. And I've come to you emotional or crying at times. I've been crying after shows, and there's always this core family and really close friends that really I feel so supported by. So just major gratitude for every person that has supported us energetically, emotionally, in some fashion on our journey. I couldn't have done it without the support of friends and family.
Yeah. Any last things for the audience, Tori?
I don't really have anything to say. Well, I did think of my favorite show though, so I do want to share that.
Yeah,
Drop it.
sure.
I have a couple of them, but I will say one of my favorite shows was on my birthday last year. It was at Focal, and I received a birthday cake singing happy birthday, and the guys sang Circle. They
That was
sang
so cute. I remember
Circle
that.
to me. And honestly, that was like the coolest thing in the whole wide world because we hadn't all really been singing together at that point. I mean, maybe we had a little bit, but it was really special. And Jaden, you sang Dreamer, and that is seriously one of my favorite songs of yours. And it just made me cry. I felt so special and honored and loved. And I mean, that was truly, like, personally one of my favorite experiences playing a show. Just feeling all that love. But I mean, all the other countless shows that we've had and just connecting with people. And I mean, that's just been incredible. Everything's really been incredible. But that one really stands out. And I just wanted to say that was awesome.
That was a great night.
Yeah. I do remember that. That was beautiful.
You're the one who gave me the cake too, didn't you? You like handed me the cake.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yes,
I did. It was me holding the cake.
It was awesome. It was delicious too.
Aw. Man, what a beautiful community this has created. And
Absolutely.
I really acknowledge you all for that. Like, it's one thing to make music and to create together, but to actually bring together like a family, it's been really sweet to be a part of.
It's a galactic family.
It's a galactic family.
Galactic fam.
I gotta say, with Selfless, one time, Raimo, you were away, and I got on the mic and I sang your whole verse.
Oh, baby.
That was amazing.
Oh,
man.
baby. I did. I got on and I was like, wow, I really know all of the words to that song.
You crushed it too, man.
It was
Nice.
great.
Candy's actually the band's understudy. She knows every single member's parts.
That's right.
Yes.
It's true. Yeah, and really, when I say this, like, if it wasn't for you all and being around you all so much, I would have never, like, maybe I would have, but I've just been inspired to start getting involved in music and playing guitar, and it's been so supportive for me over the last year, and you all inspired that amongst poems too. Like Strong Friend was inspired by Jaden, and yeah, it's just been, it's been really inspiring to be around you all.
It's awesome to watch your unfolding too as a musician. So freaking
Out of all the guitars you picked up a classical. And
Yeah.
I'm so proud and happy that you did that.
Yeah, that's you all. You all inspired the classical for sure. And then the Cordova, she's like, Jaden has a Cordova. I was like, well, Jaden has a Cordova. I want a Cordova.
yes.
So thank you all so much for the inspiration and just for being such great friends and sharing, again, such beautiful art.
Thank you. Likewise.
Gratitude,
Thanks,
likewise.
Candy.
Love you, Candy.
Yeah. And just inviting everyone to support these guys. I mean, they mean so much to me. And of course, you're going to love it. So it's just like a win-win situation. So download the EP, check out one of their shows in Phoenix or elsewhere, because these guys have been around to other states as well. Check them out. You won't regret it for sure. Galactivate.
Activate.
Let's play.
Yeah.
Oh, baby, tell me all your pain. I'll try to take it away. Let it live in my brain. Just don't want you carrying the weight. Oh, baby, back again so soon. For the 45th time, your body's shaking me under the moon. I try to help you, but no promising I'll be okay too. Hit it, queen. Oh baby, how do I Oh, maybe I took it too far. Been drowning in the blood of my heart. Or maybe now I'll see this selfless energy is meant for me.